Okay, 2 years later, here is my Fyre Festival experience. So this story goes back to 2016. That's when I first heard about it. A friend of mine messaged our friends group and said, hey, there's this really cool festival. He had a connection to someone who was organizing it. He said, there's this really cool festival happening in the Bahamas. We can get an early bird deal. It's $500 a ticket. Should we do it? And we all started checking it out, and then he messaged us after it and he's like, hold on, never mind, it's a scam. So right away, we weren't sure if this festival was legit. This was probably November of 2016. And then he gets back to us and he's like, actually, no, it's real. So for $500 a ticket, we all get access to the festival in the Bahamas. We get lodging, which was promised to be an 8-person villa, like an 8-person house. We get food, and we get a private jet from Miami to the Bahamas. So all that for $500. It was a really good deal. That was probably our first red flag, but my group of friends are all into music festivals, into adventures. We were all just kind of up for it, whatever it might be. So we said yes. Then right after we signed up, the fancy influencer video came out with all the models. And that's when I was like, okay, so this is a little bit more of what we're getting ourselves into. It's like an influencer festival. But by then we were already signed up. So that was that. January 2017 is when I got my first email from Fyre, and in that email, they described a treasure hunt that they had available for us as attendees. And this is what was the prize for the treasure hunt: a piece of beachfront land with a brand new 3-bedroom villa house. The winner will literally own a piece of an island complete with a new home. So the very first email I get from them, they're promising that there is a treasure hunt and one person is going to win land in the Bahamas. All right, so that was another red flag, but just ignored it. So from January to March 2017, all the emails we got from Fyre at that point were announcing, lineups, or most of them were about our chartered flight, our private jet from Miami to Bahamas. So it was like a lot of logistical stuff. But then in April, that's when the emails started to get interesting. So on April 2nd, I got an email called Your Fyre Festival Experience, and that's when they mentioned the word domes. They actually called it geodesic domes, as if I'm supposed to know what geodesic means. Because we had signed up for an 8-person villa, I didn't really think much of these domes, I just ignored it. Around that time is when I emailed them, concierge@fyrefestival.com, asking them if there was going to be Wi-Fi. Because I had just launched my course, Instagrowth Boss, so my head was like just focused on that, and I knew I was probably going to be working on that weekend. So I emailed them to ask if there would be Wi-Fi. My email didn't even get delivered to them. I just kept getting error messages. So that was it. There was no communication back to them. And because I was running my course at that time, I just sort of ignored it and figured I'll deal with it later. Then the emails get more interesting. On April 16th, I got an email that said, welcome to Fyre Festival, just 2 weeks away. And they announced their Fyre blog and linked to it on Medium. And that is still up now, by the way. But that's where they actually went into detail about these tents. Like they had images of these tents overlooking the ocean. They talked about the tents having bare necessities because they're simply a place for you to rest your head at night. And that's when it started to clue in that maybe we weren't actually getting this 8-person villa, but we were going to be staying in tents. It was never confirmed though. There was no clarity. There was just this information about these tents. April 17th, I get another email. It says important details about cashless payments at Fyre Festival. This is when they tell us that it's going to be a cashless environment and we're going to have a digital wristband and we should load it up now with cash. And they recommended for us to spend $300 to $500 a day. So for a 3-day festival, they wanted us to preload our wristbands with $1,500. And me and my friends were just like, what do they think we're going to spend all our money on there, first of all? And also, how expensive are these drinks going to be if they really think we need $500 a day? So I was skeptical at this point, but we kept getting more and more emails about the wristbands, and they said we needed to preload them by April 24th. So they gave us a deadline. So I think by April 24th, I put like $200 on it because I just thought, you know, if drinks are gonna be $50 a drink, I'm gonna get 4 of them and that's it. Then on April 24th, we got another email saying today's the deadline. Then on April 26th, we got another email saying, oh, it's been extended. Now you have to get your wristband preloaded. So having seen the documentary now, it's clear that they needed that cash influx from attendees to pay their artists and to pay all their debts. So that's why they kept pressuring us leading up to the festival. Give us money, load up your wristband, cashless environment, blah, blah, blah. So now it makes a lot more sense. So around this time, we all flew to Miami. We went there a day before. And then on April 27th, we had our flight from Miami to the Bahamas. So we get to the airport, we get to our gate. It's clearly filled with festival goers and people are just like confused. There's this overall confusion, and we were sitting at the gate and there was this group of people right next to us looking at their phones, laughing about Fyre Festival. And we asked them like what the deal is. And they said they were on Twitter and people who were already there were tweeting pictures of these wet tents and the whole festival grounds being soaked in a storm. And we just looked at it like should we still be getting on this plane? That was my thought anyway. My group of friends was a little bit more like, we're in this, let's do it. So we get on the plane. It's not a private jet, it's a charter airline called Spirit Airlines. The plane was literally falling apart. The girl in front of me, her window frame just popped off and she was waving it around in the air. I wish I had filmed it, but at that point I was just, I don't know, I was not in documentation mode. I was just like, WTF, what am I gonna do? Because I don't really want to go now. I was trying to stay positive, but you know, it's not really the way I operate. So we land in the Bahamas. It's beautiful to fly into. We go through customs and then they put us on a school bus. The school bus is fun. There's music. Everyone's happy. But then we get to the Fyre Festival campgrounds and it looks like a construction site. It looks like Mars. It looks like there's just gravel everywhere and fencing, and people were still working to set up the tents. So I filmed a little bit of us entering the I don't even know, the grounds. But that's when I thought, no, I'm not staying in one of these. I opened my phone, I looked up on Airbnb, any local places available. I looked up hotels. Nothing was available because the whole island had been booked out for a regatta that was happening that same weekend. So literally no options available to stay anywhere else. So we get dropped off near that house that you might see in the documentary, and the whole, like everyone who's there is just in this massive lineup, but no one knows why. So we're standing there with our bags, waiting for something to happen. These girls come over, they look like young college party girls, and they come over with a bottle of tequila and they offer to give us shots, and they just start pouring tequila down our throats. So I guess they were there to keep our spirits high. So for a while, no one knows what's going on. Then we see a guy jump up on a truck. He says something along the lines of, if you signed up for a villa, go grab a tent. So this whole time we were in line because we thought tents were assigned or something. No, there was no organization whatsoever. Competition kicked in, so I grabbed my bag and I ran for it. And so did most of my friends too. And we wanted to get 2 tents together so that we could at least stay together. Once we started looking in the tents, they all had different setups. Like some of them had a double bed, some of them had 2 single beds, some of them had towels, some of them had sleeping bags. Like there were some IKEA shelving units in some of them. They were all just varied, just basically mattresses laying on the ground, wrapped in plastic. The ground, they had laid down carpet in the tent, but it was soaking wet. Like you would step on the carpet and a pool of water would like surround your foot. We try to find like the driest tents. We try to get 4 beds into each tent so that everyone had a place to sleep. We just kind of crowded into 2 tents so that we could all be together. This is when things got a little Lord of the Flies.
You